Thank you for listening to the Token Market Podcast. I'm your host, Gavin Knight. We feature projects in the cryptocurrency space and ICOs. Please make sure to do your own due diligence before engaging in any project. So I'm here with Alex Stirk, Community Manager of Ubiq. It's an Ethereum-like project based on Ethereum Go, but it had a fair launch, so there was no ICO or anything like that. It's mined, and we're just here to learn about it in the community. So, Alex, why don't you tell me how Ubiq started or the whole history? I know it kind of goes all the way back to this thing called Jumbucks, and so why don't you tell me how you ended up with Ubiq?
Well, it goes back even further than Jumbucks. So if Ubiq or if Bitcoin launched with like an email list, Satoshi kind of put out the white paper and tried to rally together some troops to try and get that community going. Ubiq started as an IRC chat called Coin Markets. And this was started by Crypto Cobain, a very prominent Twitter figure back in the day. And there's a lot of really notable people in the space kind of hanging around there. Like I wasn't even part of the group at that time, but I was just kind of joining the space and found out about this fair launch coin called Coin Markets Coin. And nobody wanted to really take it too seriously, but at the same time, it was like, oh, well, here, you got 3 weeks, guys, like get your miners kind of ready. And like I had just actually had a miner show up to just kind of get my feet wet and try and figure it out. The first couple blocks were empty with no reward, so the difficulty was all the way up. You're not going to get any of those crazy things like Instamine or anything like that. And it was, proof of work for an entire month, and then it switched to proof of stake directly with like the protocol level. And we were kind of a pretty awesome community for about 2.5 years. Like this was launched back around when Ethereum did its ICO, and we decided to do a fair launch. I tried to develop a lot of cool things for it. One of them was like a tip bot that was used extensively in the Slack. Tried to do some stuff with identity-based services, but building on the Bitcoin code base is just so frustrating. Like Satoshi probably wasn't a programmer. I think he was more of a mathematician or some sort of professor. So he relied on a lot of the programming chops of other people to kind of amend his work. But Ethereum is definitely built by programmers for programmers, and we kind of were when I came on board to be the community manager and kind of help organize the project a little bit. We saw like the potential that Ethereum had and how it was really kind of like this new version of like Linux, and there's a lot of implementations of Linux around the world that differ from the original Linux. So we kind of thought like, how can we be like our own implementation of Ethereum? Because there's going to be more than one world computer, and they're all going to network with each other someday. But we did a test net for about 6 months. The community kind of rallied around it, supported the development. We implemented some cool features like DigiShield, because the idea was to have it operate at lower hash rates, a little more stable. And after we launched, we realized that even DigiShield wasn't very good. So Julian and Luke and one of our other developers, Chris, all kind of worked together to develop our own difficulty algorithm on the fly, and now it's operating really well. We got large miners jumping on and off with price fluctuations and hash rate fluctuations. They're all kind of being balanced out well by our difficulty algorithm, which we called Flux. So that was kind of one of the innovations. There's another thing called ESS, which is exponential subjective scoring. So this is something to kind of help find the more difficult chain, like because the term longest chain can mean a lot of different things. And we actually had discussions with Vitalik about this to kind of get an idea of how the best way to implement it would be. So now that's a flag inside of Ubiq, Go Ubiq, that services can run to monitor for forks. we're now porting over a lot of really cool Ethereum open source projects. Like this week, I think we're going to release Pyrus, which is a fork of the My Ether wallet, a very useful tool. And yeah, we have quite a few things. Like even our version of the Mist wallet, we call it Fusion. And yeah, it's very well branded, but at the same time, it runs very well. And like building the services for Ubic, we realized how great the Ethereum code base is. Like our main developer, Luke, people know him as Exocell. He is very happy with the new Explorer he built. It loads so fast. The chain was really designed, yeah, like I said, by programmers for programmers.
So Ethereum split. We have Ethereum Classic. We have Ethereum. We have people in different camps. Some people like the proof of work, um, and the fact that they honored what happened. They didn't go with this hard fork that was contentious. And so, what do you think the benefits of having a fair launch are? Do you think this is going to give developers and people who get involved early a better stake, better access to the actual coin, rather than where Ethereum kind of a lot of people picked up a huge amount early and uh, they have been able to sort of control a little bit. So how do you guys think about that? Like contentious hard forks and the allocation of funds. What is the Ubic model?
Well, we were, yeah, fair launch from the beginning, no ICO, no pre-mine. So Ethereum had actually both an ICO and a pre-mine. Um, so they had a lot of incentive, I guess, to kind of own the network. And Vitalik himself has said that Ether is not a currency. They don't really have a monetary policy. That's something that is a subject of great debate right now. And yeah, I think they're much more structured like a startup or a foundation, similar to like Red Hat. So there's going to be a certain measure of control because they need to improve the network. So doing hard forks requires a certain amount of control of the network in order to I don't know, do a real like cohesive implementations. Like you want to be able to do upgrades and have everyone on board, and part of that is you have to have a very large interest in the network. Um, and by all means, like the Ethereum Foundation has done a great job, and with regards to the DAO hack and how they handled it, I think yeah, it sucks to have to throw immutability down like that. But at the same time, if that went through, like they didn't correct for that, we would have regulators all over this space. It would not be a good day for any project. So I think in the long run, the decision they make was definitely better. Um, but yeah, like we decided to do a monetary policy right from the get-go that would allow our network to remain proof of work essentially forever. Um, so right now we're creating 8 Ubic for every block. After 1 year, it will decrease by 1 to 7 Ubic, and then the following year 6, all the way down to 1 Ubic per block, and that's where it will remain for the rest of the time. And yeah, it puts the inflation around like 7% this year, but by the end of it, we're talking like a 0.5% inflation after 8 years. Yeah, quite reasonable to manage. But yeah, and we also have a slower block time of 88 seconds, around a minute and a half. And this helps mitigate things like uncles. And that's one of the innovations that Ethereum had was the uncles kind of help with running the network faster, but it doesn't help with the monetary or the economics of the network because uncles are rewarded a certain amount. So we don't want to rely on that system at this moment. We may, try and upgrade it in the future, but the current plan we have now can work for the rest of the time. But we're always looking for, a better solution, right?
Yeah, I see a lot of different incantations or adaptations to what Ethereum is coming out, or things like Tezos that are, built from scratch and such. But it sounds like you guys looked at Ethereum, you really like the code base, but you saw some things, you want to change, and it's almost like ice cream flavors. Some people are going to prefer the Ethereum Foundation Ethereum, some people are going to do Ethereum Classic, but Ubic has some advantages there as well. And so I thought it was interesting because I was telling people with Ethereum Classic, I was like, man, look at all these ICOs and these things happening. Why don't you just bring them over to Ethereum Classic? So, on one hand, someone might say like, oh, they're taking my Ether wallet, but I think it's really good for people to take the open source projects, whether it's, an Augur or whatever, and come and bring it to their chain and do something with it. It's almost like, why not? It's open source. So I think it'd be really interesting as these Ethereum projects continue to come out, if you guys are able to like repurpose it with your community. So do you see yourself having kind of like a Gnosis and a Golem and all of that if it's completely compatible? Like,
Yeah, like Gnosis is actually one that we're watching really closely, and I think one of the more interesting things with it is that we probably don't even need to do an ICO or like a new token for it. I think we can do it with the underlying currency, which is kind of the cool thing about a lot of these Ethereum projects is, yeah, they're doing a token sale in order to kind of create the network and develop an ecosystem. But like we already have like a fair launch currency, we might as well add more features to that currency. If we're able to port over open source projects, then by all means we're going to. And that's what I actually really love about the Ethereum ecosystem is they're so open to the open source mantra of sharing ideas and kind of the rising tide helps us all. Like I said, we worked with Vitalik. I don't think I've ever met an Ethereum maximalist. Maybe there's some guys who are still preaching the immutability aspects of Ethereum Classic, but overall, I think that it's a very open-minded community, and it's welcoming us with open arms, and we're happy to kind of bring whatever we can into the ecosystem. Because even if like we're developing a product right now for our chain. We're calling it Signum is the code name, and it's a secure access device that uses the blockchain kind of as a notary. So this thing, which is basically a universal key fob, will assemble a lot of data like NFC, like you see like with a key card. It will actually take data points off of your fingerprint, take them all into the device, randomize it all, and then use that to generate a unique transaction, which then a service like your mobile phone or a computer can then see that transaction and automatically log you in. So now there's no typing or no interface between you and the computer that can be intercepted. It's just both are talking with the blockchain and both are authenticating with the blockchain.
right. And I do like that about the Ethereum community, but obviously there has been a lot of money pumped into it, a lot of bots, a lot of people placing orders on the market. So it does have this support in exchanges. So I know Ubic is on Bittrex, but are you seeing some market support so people could actually use the Ubic token? Because one of the biggest issues I saw on Ethereum for a while was people are like, how do we price things on the network? We don't have Bitcoin. We don't have this. Like, what do we use? And now that Ethereum is worth money and they think it's some level of stability there, they're like, well, we can use Ethereum as the actual token of value, right? And so, like, how do you bootstrap Ubic to have something that people can use, as value? Is that kind of like a goal to build up the market large enough so that the Ubic token can be used inside the system for value?
Well, we like seeing the market increase because it correlates to security. But overall, like people can use Ubic and not have to do anything more than pay for gas. Like we have people developing tokens on the network, but they're buying Ubic purely just to be able to send those tokens. And that's kind of the main use case for it too. Is we have a lot of old customers like Julian and Luke have done a lot of bounty work in the space, and made lots of good business connections and helped build blockchains for people. But now they're realizing, oh, well, a blockchain is actually really expensive to run. Like you have to have nodes everywhere. You have to give out a certain percentage of like interest or inflation in order to sustain the network. There's a lot of resources that are required. But if they choose to move to a token on the Ubic network, like Quark did, now they're pay per use. So they only have to pay to send a transaction or pay to do a vote. They have all this extra functionality, and all they have to do is buy a tiny bit of Ubic in order to pay the miners in order to send the token.
So before the podcast, you mentioned that you were CEO of, I guess, Ubic, some type of a Ubic organization. Why don't you tell me what the purpose of that is, what you guys do, I guess, support the network, and what other functionalities you guys provide?
Yeah, so like I mean, there's Ubic the token, so it's UBQ. There's Ubic the network, which is like this Ethereum based code base, and it has all the same functionality. But then this year, with the marking the launch of the network, we wanted to have a more formal entity, as well as we brought on some new people onto the team, and we needed to kind of make it more formal. So we formed the company Ubic Technologies Incorporated, and it's basically just a numbered company, but it signifies that Julian, Luke, myself, and also Chris Hansen and the Digital Finance Institute, we're all working to develop Ubic to be this platform that enterprise and finance can develop on, and really help educate the world on like what the capabilities of blockchains are. So like they have a lot of notable contacts that they're able to introduce us to. Like the Digital Finance Institute is kind of a nonprofit in Canada to help with educating not only like banking executives but also like governments and other notable industries about things like artificial intelligence, blockchain, regulatory technology. There's a lot of different techs that are coming out right now, even like quantum computing. So we need to, excuse me, we need to understand what are the implications of that. Like, how does it affect banking? How does it affect the regulatory environment, and how does it affect government? So yeah, we've gone to 3 different conferences now to kind of help speak. I spoke at Toronto. Luke went to Nigeria to kind of speak with the Nigerian government, and then just recently I was in Vancouver to speak and kind of tell them that blockchain is whether it's Ubic or something else, blockchain is the answer for like government transparency and funding. For example, infrastructure projects. So over the next 10 years, the governments of China, U.S., and Canada are planning on spending $78 trillion on infrastructure, and anywhere from 10 to 20% of that is going to be lost due to corruption or just due to like double spending. Like it might be malicious, it might be just negligence, but we're talking about like anywhere from 4 to 20 trillion dollars are going to be lost because of poor bookkeeping. So if we can make that transparent and immutable and permissioned on a permissionless platform like Ubic, we can help save some of that money. And it might be, it's too big of a job for just Ubic to do, but it's still necessary that somebody is there to kind of hold their hand, and we're working very closely with them. Like we really want to help onboard a lot of these current systems, because enterprise and banking, like they're looking at all this ransomware stuff going on right now, and they're probably scared, like really scared. So there needs to be a new option for them. They need to have people they can trust. So we're really glad to have partnered up and created this corporation. And right now we're looking to get funding in a more traditional way with the corporation. As I said, we're non-ICO, no pre-mine, so we're not using any unconventional funding methods. We're trying to go the traditional route of being a tech company, and yeah, I'm got some meetings now planned after these conference attendances, so we can hopefully get some funding lined up and actually build the platform out and have a couple use cases. So if you want to find out more about what we've done, you can check out our quarterly report that we just put out of the last 3 months. But it's been very busy, and we put a lot of sweat equity in, and I hope you guys appreciate the software that we put out.
Are you like sincerely fascinated by the technology and it's what keeps you going?
Yeah, the technology is definitely interesting. I think what really drew me into the space was the people. Like, I was just kind of putting around Twitter, and then you find some of these interesting projects. You're like, who is building these things? And like, that's why I created my own podcast too, because I'm like, I need to talk to these people. Like, you got to find out who are the faces behind this. It needs to be more than numbers on or words on a screen. And yeah, we have an awesome community. Like, shout out to the Ubic Slack, because like some of the guys have been there for ages, and every day I laugh my ass off, and I learn something new too, because there's some really intelligent folk there who really are passionate about the industry, and that's the thing. Like, the positivity just kind of feeds off of one another, and at the end of the day, like, if you're happy with like the people that you're surrounded with, it doesn't feel like work. Yeah, it's the greatest job I've ever had.
That's great to hear. I mean, I think a lot of people, uh, I'm sure everyone listening is aware, but Reddit, Bitcoin, and BTC, it just seems like unless the price is going up, which it has been, when it goes sideways, it's just a lot of drama and people arguing and Twitter and going back and forth, and it just kind of, for me, it kind of lessen the spirits. But on Telegram, there's been a lot of cool communities, and I'll check out your Slack too. There's still a lot of good people in crypto, and if you if you come across one of these sort of caustic environments, it's really crypto is about just connecting, being good to each other, and learning and such. So it's been kind of hard to explain to people. They just see the Reddit and they don't know there's still good communities. So yeah, if you're interested in Ubic, I mean, before you buy, like, meet the people and get on Slack and talk to them and see what it's about. And that's a great thing about crypto, is if you do actually reach out, you can get a hold of people. So yeah, so want to tell people how they, obviously Slack and such, tell people how they can get in touch with you, and if you're looking for developers or any kind of things. And then obviously the token is out. It's not an ICO, so it's on Bittrex. And the long end of that is, why don't you just tell people how they can get in touch with you, and what you guys are looking for in terms of developers and anything else?
Yeah, sure. So you can join the Slack at slack.ubicsmart.com, or you can just check out the website ubicsmart.com. There's a lot of relevant links there, like the Twitter, ubicsmart on Twitter. If you want to follow me, I'm Alex_Stirk. And there's also my podcast, Block Talk, which is block_talk on Twitter. Yeah, like, we have a lot of notable people that hang out in the Slack. Like, if you want to talk to Richie or Bill and Richie from Bittrex, like, they're usually there kind of just asking, polling the community there. Coinigy, these guys are all, they started their businesses back in the coin markets days, and they've known that community was kind of a very true form of crypto. There's obviously the people who are there to get rich, but then there's a lot more people who are here to change the world, and they maybe understand that getting rich is an added benefit of that.
Yeah, I keep bumping into people from there. I mean, honestly, I idled, and I don't know, I wasn't really that involved, but I keep bumping into people, whether it's in Bitcoin or I mean, I won't call people out, but the coin markets was sort of a an epic place, and had all of the right characters. I think I remember Razor some kind of
Oh yeah.
yeah, yeah. There was
No,
some there was some interesting stuff. We won't get into it, but yeah,
no.
Ubic
It,
smart.com and Apex Ventures is their first sort of pilot project. And if you're interested, go ahead and check out their website, or you can go to Bittrex and pick up a few. I'll say before I even knew Alex or anything, I bought a few Ubic. I don't know. I mean, uh, I hope I didn't sound slanted, but uh, it definitely there's some interesting things going on with